Greetings. Have you ever had a wish in your business that you have more customers than you can actually produce stuff for your customers, and your backlog because every customer wanted right now, you can't even fulfill that order? You know what? I don't know about you. At least I want to learn that recipe, how you get that one. Here's the best part, not with the millions of dollars of advertising. It's almost virtually close to a zero with a very small team. That's the best part. Small team without a big budget for marketing and advertising, and you have more orders than you can actually fulfill right now internationally all around the world with a very unique products. Yes, you came to the right place today. Thank you. Stop everything else for in next few minutes. We are going to share. You are going to meet my very special guest today, and that we are going to share that one how she is able to do it as a woman entrepreneur, and she has actually showed that and did a workshop and a United Nations with the youth from all around the world. There's such a blessing and empowerment, a woman empowerment. Thank you so much. In case you don't know me, my name is Mohammed Siddique. I am the host of a growth hacking show and the co-author of New Success Secrets, which is available on Amazon. You can grab it if you like to. And please join me to give a warm welcome to the founder and CEO of Rozanna Weinberger. He is producing special musical instruments, and I want her to share anything. I will not talk much.
Oh.
She is going to share with you how he came up with and how she is able to produce all this much, being a great success story. And her family originally is from Hungary, so is a great success immigrant for land opportunity in the United States.
Absolutely.
Please join me to give a warm welcome, Rozanna. Rozanna, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure and honor to be here.
Yeah. Rozanna, let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with that inspired you to get into Rozanna's violins producing and musical instruments? So tell us.
Sure. Well, I started my career as an active musician. I studied for many, many years. From the time I was 11 years old, I was practicing at least 4 to 5 hours a day. I had the fortune to go on to Juilliard and eventually work professionally as a soloist and performing on Broadway and Radio City. But it was actually also around this time that I came across an article in the New York Times talking about the number of students that were actually unable to survive in their chosen profession years after graduating from Juilliard. And this, to me, seemed like a real issue, that somehow our education was not providing us with the tools to survive. And also right around that time, I was, was pursuing, spiritual answers to these questions, and came across an essay written by a man by the name of Daisaku Ikeda, who talked about the poetic heart and the importance of cultivating the poetic heart in children. And that when you're able to cultivate that side of a child's nature, they're able to also distinguish the difference between a human being and a mere body part when it comes to reflecting on war and the travesties of war. So, it was in part recognizing that there was a problem that needed to be solved, and at the same time being fueled with a sense of mission about what I wanted to do.
Oh, that is great. That's great. So how, as a woman entrepreneur,
yeah,
with a small team,
yes,
that's how you're able to achieve this like a great success for yourself. So you have more orders than you actually produce. So share with us, shed more light.
Certainly in terms of having the problem that we have right now, I think that largely comes from having an idea that actually is filling a need. Right around the time I was reflecting on the fact that many students coming out of conservatories could not survive, it occurred to me that those students might be better educated if they had a more creative approach to education from the very start of the process of their musical education. So from my perspective, creating instruments that resonated with children, not just sonically, but in terms of their creative sensibilities, that made sense to me. And, and it also seemed like a great motivator to get a child to want to play a violin if it's got a really cool design, so that just made a lot of sense to me. So I think because of that, I was able to recognize a need perhaps before the rest of the market. In terms of how I have managed to do this as a woman entrepreneur, I will say to you, excuse me, there's no time that I think to myself, oh gosh, I'm a woman and this is harder for me. I've been too busy thinking, gosh, here I am and how am I going to do this? So I don't even have time to sort of like make excuses for myself in that regard. But I think one of the most important things for any entrepreneur is having a standalone spirit. Which is to say, if you have a dream, to never put yourself in a position where the ability to make that dream happen is dependent on something outside of yourself. Of course, we all understanding that financing and all these kind of things are important. But if you don't have the mettle to take one step at a time, regardless, without making such excuses, you're never going to build up your idea to the point where an investor is going to say, hey, this is not only a great idea, but this person seems to know how to get it done. It is not sort of leaning on somebody to sort of rescue them.
Oh, great. Thank you. So you have to have a unique product which has like a really desired for your, like create this desire for your clients to actually have it.
Oh, yeah. Well, definitely. We've produced a violin now that was sold with the music to Frozen, and also with more recently a violin that's being sold with the music to Star Wars. So definitely the visual component is very important. And frankly, when we put out a design, we usually go through hundreds of revisions before we send it out.
Yeah.
Because it's not so simple. It's very easy to make a violin look like wallpaper if you're not careful.
Yeah. So how you are able to do it without any big advertising budget?
Well, that's a really good question. I think if you feel a need, if you find something that's really interesting, I have to say that to a certain degree, products will sell themselves. Now, of course, I think that experts in marketing understand that if you have a great product, but take one zillionth of a corner of the market on the internet, you don't have a chance. How are people going to know what you are? Or, in some cases, people spend many, many marketing dollars. Of course, marketing is important. There's no question about it. But I think the first most important thing was that we built strategic alliances. We were committed to our mission. We had an idea that we believed in, and we could prove its, merit. We could prove the sales we were starting to see, and we were able to do so such that some of the big platforms right away were really willing to take a chance with us. One of our first big platforms that we got to sell our instruments on was Musician's Friend, which is also connected to Guitar Center. They sell basically if it's on the internet and you want people to find it, and it's a musical instrument, they're pretty much the go-to store. And in the same way that as a brick and mortar, which they're related to, Guitar Center has more stores, I believe that's true, than any other chain in the USA. So that was a great opportunity for us. And so because we had something that could, in a sense, sell itself, and also, I might add, had a very strong visual appeal. That's sort of the X factor, I think, especially when you're trying to market online. If you're a musical instrument company or any kind of market, I suppose, and you kind of look a little like everyone else, it's very difficult to differentiate yourself. I mean, you could spend, that's where I suppose the big guns have the money to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to try to get in front of other people. But if you have something that stands out from the crowd automatically, like I said, it begins to sell itself. And
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. So, Rosanna, based on over a decade of your experience working with, with your partners and, in being in a business, so what are the top 3 missteps to avoid to grow your business? Because you probably have done few.
Okay, I'll try to, if I don't, hopefully I won't need to refer to my notes too much. But I think, sort of reiterating the point, that the first point that I made, which was, that I made already, which was to not wait for others to give you the chance to do it. Even if you think that what is required, necessitates having the budget or somebody with the skill sets to do something that needs to be done. If those things are not in your environment, you have to find a way to take another step every day. And to that extent, I think in that sense, that also means being able to trust yourself, trusting your intuitions, and finding a way to take, even if it's a small step, to take that step every single day. I think, also, I think, the other, let me think. I know that was one of the points that I wanted to say. And then I think also, bear with me, I'm just referring to my notes. Let's see. Oh, yes, thank you. This was also very important. I think, especially when people are watching shows like this, of course you want to learn from others, and you might even hopefully hear something that I'm saying and going, yeah, I'm going to, try that, or boy, now I'm inspired. But I think actually it's really important to understand that ultimately we create our own unique path. I have wasted so much time trying to do things like other people did, or, trying to connect with the same people that they did. But the truth is that everybody is really unique in that regard. It's kind of like, if you're climbing a mountain and you're on a cliff and, it's a life and death situation, that is not the moment to pull out a manual on how to climb a mountain, right? How to not, fall off that mountain. In that moment, you have to find a way, and sometimes you have to dig deep. But that is, I think, that one of the things that a true entrepreneur, really needs to do. And I guess the other thing is also to really be strategic in your rollout. Even if you reach a point where companies are saying, we want all of your inventory, we want to, especially online, or if it's a dropship type situation, make sure that you have a strategy to meet that demand, or else to plan strategically to roll out your product once you see that it really has a really great demand, which we're now doing. We're actually having to, strategize on that, in that regard, so that we can really scale out the way we need to right now.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So if I ask you a question, what would you say to the customers? Because you're getting more orders than you can actually fulfill right now. Mm-hmm. What kind of nice line you use it to, that mean you can they have to wait or something, or you can fulfill it right now? What kind of
well, I think it sort of goes back to the strategy question again. Like a lot of our right now, one of the reasons we have big orders that we can't fulfill as fast as we want is that some of the partners that we're dealing with, such as Amazon, has a turnaround. They don't, many of our instruments are basically custom made or made to order. I mean, one of the things that sets us apart and enables us to really advance is that we could basically put on any design we want on an instrument. It's just that it takes a little time. And with a vendor like Amazon, they like products that are kind of ready on the shelf. So I think as far as that goes, it sort of goes back to how we're going to strategize with those types of vendors, perhaps having certain SKUs ready on the shelf for them in advance, now that we, see the numbers. And at the same time, building the relationships with our vendors who give us more of a timeline to get the orders in.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. So, let's move on to this. Your success secrets. What are the core top 3 success secrets for your business growth?
Okay, I hope if I have to refer to my notes again, bear with me. But I think, that the first thing, and it's not really maybe quantifiable, but I think having a sense of mission, sort of seeing, having a sense of mission, in my case, I feel strongly about helping youth connect to the arts because I definitely think it makes them a better person. And I think in its own way, it will make the world a better place when we can, harmonize with other people rather than fight with them. Music has, talking about the United Nations, which you mentioned, music and culture, sharing culture, has a really unique way of bringing people together. So having that sense of mission, I think, is important because there are going to be times that are incredibly difficult. And if you don't have a strong sense of purpose that helps you to really sort of dig deep when you need to, then I think, it's going to be very difficult, for the entrepreneur. So I think, that's one of the first things. And I think perhaps then the next thing is really having I know I laugh. I mean, maybe this is, not so simple, but having a great idea, and I realize that maybe it's not so easy, but when you actually care about the consumer that you're trying to reach, it has a power in itself. You're able to not just see, a massive, swath of people that you want to get their money from, but you actually are able to, fill a need for them. And that in turn has its own power. People feel that and they respond to that. And then, let's see, let me just see. Having a great idea. And, and then I think the other thing is sort of going to what I had said before about standing alone, being willing, to do whatever it takes. Even if it means learning yourself certain things with the intent of then bringing on others to do those tasks, like with our production of customized instruments. In many of the steps, I actually had to learn myself, in the process of building our company. But the great thing about that is now I know what steps are involved. Now I know what actually works and doesn't work. Now I know exactly how much time it takes. And when I bring people on, I don't have to be told how much time it takes. I know how much it takes. So, so those are all, valuable tools that have been helpful to me, I think.
So having a hands-on experience is a big plus in that's another success secret. Otherwise you will be manipulated around with the time.
I think so. Yeah, you really can be. Yeah, there were definitely, as a matter of fact, I'm glad you pointed that out. I should probably have included that in some of the, hard steps I learned along the way. But, when just in terms of like the finish that we put on the instruments, people would say, oh, it's going to take this amount of time and you need to do this and it's going to be this long and, and it's going to cost you this amount of money. Well, sort of teaching myself, just from, at the very start to get a sense of it and really learning and really asking questions, then, you can no longer be taken advantage of in such situations if you've sort of learned firsthand and really done your due diligence in terms of finding out, what will be the best results for your company, for your product.
Thank you. Rozanna, hope you agree with me. Running a business is a roller coaster. Sometimes it's up, it's down. Is that right?
Yes.
So here is my question. What keeps you going when you are in a down moments in your business?
Oh, that's a great question. I was thinking about that. And for some reason, I was thinking about that earlier, even though I didn't know you were going to ask me that question. But I think, hope seems like such a very minor thing. It's like, people are watching this podcast, hoping to, build businesses for themselves. But I think that when things are the most challenging, having hope, having a vision of what you intend to achieve, even during the most difficult times, is indispensable. If you can't carry hope in your heart every single day, it's going to be very difficult. And I have to admit, there have been times that it's been very difficult to dredge up hope. But if you can't see the possibility, no one else will.
Very well said. Very well said. So, Rozanna, at this moment, how are you growing your business? Even though you have a huge growth, however, you still might some plan somewhere. how
Sure.
you're growing your business kind of in this economy.
Sure. Well, basically right now what we're doing is, we've taken on a distributor for parts of US and Latin America for our mariachi violin and a few of the other SKUs. We've also seen tremendous demand in Europe, so we're planning to create strategic alliances in Europe with a distributor over there, so that, again, going to the issue of meeting demand, so that we have someone in Europe who can fill our orders and have the inventory on hand. So, those are some of the things that we're doing, along with strategically scaling out, investors and so forth. So we're going through that whole process right now.
Cool. So you mentioned about vision. I'd rather take this opportunity to ask you how your vision, where you look like in your business in next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years from now. I want to see where Rozanna is going.
Mm-hmm. Well, I definitely envision it becoming a global brand, as we're able to, meet the demand by having sufficient inventory, scaling out in terms of, the people, fulfilling our orders. We're also looking to roll out an electric acoustic violin. We're also planning to roll out violins, well, not violins, but violas and cellos and basses as well. So we, plan to scale out to, those different markets as well, which I think shall be pretty successful.
Wonderful, wonderful. How the growth hacking show community, people who are watching this right now, and we probably have shared with their, other friends, how they can support you. How can we support you?
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, certainly, please tell your friends if you like what we do. Please, share information about us. We have a Facebook page. Hopefully he's sharing that with you right now. And we have our website, our company's website, rosannasviolins.com. If, there are communities that you think could benefit from our instruments, in your local region, please let us know about them. Or if you're somebody who actually is in the business of musical instruments and is interested in carrying our instruments or offering them in your, community or country and so forth, by all means reach out, and, definitely that would be greatly appreciated.
Sure. Definitely, we will do that. I showed you your website, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So wherever you can connect, go ahead and connect with Rozanna and say thank you for sharing your, like a lifelong struggle with the amazing results.
Well, it's my pleasure. I really appreciate being asked to be.
Rozanna, as we are about to wrap up, what would you say as a final word?
As a final word, make a difference in the world. Don't stop, make a difference. Each of us has a unique mission. We each have a unique mission. You may feel like your mission is similar to others in some way. It may be true, but you are the one that's walking that path, and that's what makes it unique. And that unique footprint, which is only yours and can only be done by you, will be what makes all the difference in the years to come. Definitely.
Thank you so much, Rozanna Weinberger, for sharing your wisdom with us today. On the behalf of the Growth Hacking Show community and our entire team, we really appreciate you. This is Mohammed Siddique signing off from Atlanta, Georgia, wishing you good luck, good sales, and I do our path across again with another amazing guest. Until then, all best wishes.
Thank you.